Hello. Hello, hello. It's been weeks since I last streamed. Hello. Welcome back to me and to you. Yeah, it's been a busy weeks. Last week I traveled to both San Francisco and LA. A couple weeks before that I was in Denver. It's been busy for work and other stuff. But we're back and we're ready to roll. I every single week am so cognizant of my hair getting longer and longer and longer on stream. Happy to report that Friday I finally have a haircut scheduled. Hey Tony, welcome on in. Also, that reminds me, I just added audio redeems to the stream. I want to see if those work. I guess I need headphones for that. But I'm pretty sure. Oh boy, I can't hear my own voice back at me. Nope, they are not there. Interesting. Okay. Let's see. I don't know how to sync. Maybe that's the first thing I'll set up is just Twitch stuff. Am I gonna mess with RPG Monty Holiday? Probably not. I might later, but probably not on stream. When I did, I was planning on just making a separate game. So you're welcome to hack away on yours. I don't want to hijack it, but I might make a different version. Let's see if I can figure out how to sync these audio redeems over. I guess I can just, wow. I got some audio redeems. Add sounds to stream. Nope, not that. I've got them. Now how do I sync them? Because they are not. Wow. Big windows. They should be here, I would assume. But alas, they are not. Oh, we're going infinite over there. Alright. I can hijack your money hall. Oh, no worries. I'd like the one you published. So I'll just make a separate one. It's all good. Very easy to do now, apparently. I guess. Let's see if... I've got one rolling. Let's see if it made anything while we're here. Every time I drag a window onto this monitor, it's so huge. So if I just resume I was going back to trying to fix a few older ones. Let's see what we got here. There we go, that guy. So if I enable this game preview, I had it trying to play. Let's see if it actually built anything. I don't have any cards. Alright, so never mind. It didn't actually make any cards. Alright, well, never mind on that one. But, yep. Time to get to work on some other stuff, I suppose. Let's see here. This week we are jumping back to You Are Not Alice. And, I think what we'll do at the start is we've updated our, internal libraries a ton through working in Elixir. It's kind of the same, schema, form, structure as what we have now, but a lot of the code is outdated. So I want to just bring over all of our library from Elixir Emporium, bring it over into this project. We'll probably have some errors here, but that's a good place to start. So if I jump over to Elixirs, grab Chromagolem AI, bring it over here. Before we do anything, we should double check that everything in You're Not Alice is checked in, so we're not in the middle of something broken. This looks like just our folder. Cool. Alright, so we'll obviously get a lot of errors at the get, go because we now have 2 assemblies of the same name. So let's just delete the old one and YOLO. And let me also bring up my stream over here so I can see chat somewhere. All right. Yep. Things are looking a little broken. Only 12 errors though. But I think that's because we had our generated images in here, and we actually still have the old ones because I originally copied this over to Elixir Emporium. Now we're basically copying back all the changes that we made back into this. So coming a nice full circle, but we should be able to just copy in our sprites. And then we probably also on the introduction screen need to do the same. Background, there we go. Sea of cubicles, cool. I guess before I get into just like fixing code forever, maybe the best thing to do is to jump over and play it a little bit. Let's do it in right browser window. This guy. Just so I can show off like what we're working with people who haven't seen the game before. Basically, this is You Are Not Alice. You play as a hacker who's taken over the computer of a low-level employee at a big corporation in a dystopian world. You have access to Alice's computer. You can talk to all of her coworkers and browse through her files, read her files, talk to those coworkers, and the goal is to convince those coworkers to run the virus file that you send them. So you'll find that virus file on her file system, you browse around, find that, and then you talk to like her boss or her coworkers and say like, hey, can you run this file real fast? And it's a very social engineering style of hacking. But once you've convinced somebody to run that virus file, then you gain access to their computer. You can switch over to their computer, talk to their coworkers, their boss, etc. And you just kind of infiltrate through the network this way. There's no like final goal or anything, but we'll probably build one in eventually if anybody has any ideas. Yeah, that's where we're at right now. We built this like over a year ago, and now we are jumping back to kind of just polish it up a little bit, bring over all the changes we've made to our own libraries. I want to add some features that people have requested, and then we're going to put it on Steam for people to play. Hello. Hey, Micah. This PC hooked up to her Apple Cloud. We got the phone to computer stream going. Hell yeah. You know, one of the things that I want to do on stream today is add image generation. So we could theme that as like her Apple Cloud. Right now we have just text generation that happens at runtime. So all these files, every time you play, she'll get a different file system, different files, different folders, etc. And then when you click on any file, it's also going to generate the contents of that file. We don't want to just generate all the files at once because that's tons of stuff that people will never see, or like just token use. Want to keep that down. But you'll see that each of these have content that you can browse. I want to also get image generation, so for images on our file system. We also have this virus.exe file, and that's what we'll send to other employees. So if we open up Corpo Chat, she starts with just 2 employees. She's just an intern on this team. And I find Carol's pretty easy to convince to run stuff because she's an old lady. But it starts you off with a different like conversation history every time you play, so you can take off from there. You can start your own conversation, etc. Or you can just say whatever you want. And we'll do that in a second. The goal, it could be some financial company that holds all the dystopian debts. Now that is an interesting idea. You're trying to get to the main server and wipe the debts of the people. That is a great idea, actually, because one other very simple thing that people have requested is just being able to delete files. So if we could get to like a server that has just files for everyone's debt, it would be pretty fun to just delete all the debt, and that's how you win. That's a great idea, actually. And fits in with this like dystopian vibe. Like the white hat hacker, I guess, plays a little bit more nicely, but people love to hack in for anything. I think it does well with like the sandbox vibes of you can do anything. Hit it with a legit RM. Yes, actually, one other thing that I want to add is a console, because I mean, text generation is good enough now that you can just generate like console output and simulate it. The only kind of blocker iffiness on that is I want to also have it do actions on the actual file system, or like something in the world. Like if you type in rm this file in the console and generate the output, it needs to actually like delete that file too. So we couldn't do that with the system that we built originally in this, but if you saw in like our Elixir Emporium stream where we added in actions that NPCs can do based on the conversation that you send them. So like if you make a guard to the town too mad, he has actions that he can trigger, and like he reasons about which ones to trigger. One of them is like lock the town gate and like don't let the player in until you calm him down. So we have this now system of like actions that can happen in response to conversation. Wouldn't be that hard to hook that up to like actions that trigger in response to console commands or something. I guess we're basically just implementing all those console commands, but YOLO, that'd be fun. So yeah, we got a lot of different fun things that we can add, like image generation for files, a console, some sort of plot, like the end goal. Like I really like the idea of just wiping out everyone's debts. I really like that. We could also have some like company tools where you can browse around and see like statistics on the world's debt and stuff. We have this very basic tool just for introducing all the people right now. We'll probably also add the ability to like take notes on people, but it also serves as like a checklist of who all you've infected, so you can kind of treat that as an end game also of once you've infected everyone, you win. Maybe there's different ways to win or so. But yeah, lots of fun stuff to do. I haven't worked in this code for like a year, so I'm going to take some time to like get familiar with it. But I think when we copy over and like fix all these errors, that'll be great for getting familiar with it. I always like these styles of game. Like, did you ever play Welcome to the Game? I have not even heard of that. Welcome to the Game. Creepy horror / puzzle game that takes you into the deep web. I don't think you guys get this audio, but that's probably for the best in case it's copyrighted. Okay, yeah, I would love for my UI to look a little bit better than it does. This is a little nicer. But I do love I almost did this effect when we stopped playing this, or when we stopped working on this game. It was right after the stream that I transitioned from like a 2D only interface to like being able to zoom out and walk around your room. My original goal was to like be on some sort of time limit to that's a cool minigame. Be on some sort of time limit to like do something on the network before somebody shows up at your door or like breaks down your door or something. But I felt like the 2D to 3D transition was a little bit ambitious at the time. So we could get back to that if we get something good, but I really like the idea of just like making it all 2D. I played a lot of I think NetHack. If you've played that, it's less puzzly and more sandboxy, I think. Oh, this is not at all what I thought it was. Fantasy D&D roguelike. Yeah, not that. I don't know what this is, but What was that game I played? I used to play a really large scale like hacking game that once you beat it, you could transition into like multiplayer and play against other people where you were trying to hack into each other's like simulated computers. It was very, very fun. I can't remember the name. Maybe it'll come to me though. I did Welcome to the Game 2, and it's basically this puzzle game that requires you to kind of do a series of console commands, access the dark web, links, and games and stuff. Ask. Yeah, I mean, we could also add, like, a web browser here, and, like, I mean, we've been doing so much stuff on the side with, where's my browser again? So we have this system right now, if I can ever get to it. It's building web-based games for us from conversation. And so that gives me a lot of confidence that we could probably also generate websites that like don't even exist. Based on like the URL, you could generate them in the game and give them like a homepage and stuff. I think that'd be a really like uncanny web browser experience. But for an example, if I jump over to like, what's a good one? Maybe this guy. Like all we did here was just say like make a simple 2D game, and it created, let's see what we got. Star Collector, where you're collecting stars. And like this is a cool game in itself, but also this is entirely like web-based JavaScript, HTML, CSS. So we could do exactly this. Oops. We could do exactly this like inside this other game too. And I just want to play this because it's a little fun. But I realized right before the stream it also has power-ups if you get far enough, which I didn't even... I haven't even seen the shield power-up. There's also like a magnet one. Okay, it destroys stuff. But yeah, all this was generated from literally like one line, one sentence saying like generate something. So I think it'd be really cool to be able to type in like a URL in the web browser and generate a fake web page for it based on the URL. The genie's here. Hell yeah. How many prompts did this one take? This took 2 prompts, I think it was. One to generate the game, which was very like flat feeling, like red shapes on white background, and then one to say like, hey, make it look pretty. And I think it looks pretty pretty. I missed some messages. You take the exe file, order a jump drive, and upload the file, so it sends the jump drive with the file on it and sends it to Carol, a legit security breaching method. I mean, that is definitely a reason to have like the 3D world that I've gone back and forth on. Ooh, another power up. Hold up. What is this? Speed? I don't want that. If you had like the 3D world that you could also be trying to infiltrate this company, you could do stuff like, yeah, ordering flash drives and like leaving them outside the building for people to pick up. You could also like go in and have access to different Wi-Fi networks depending on where you are, things like that. Lots of interesting possibilities there for like expansions for sure. But yeah, you could also ship things to like Carol and try and get her to run it or put it in her computer, etc. But yeah, I guess I never really showed that last piece off. So I'm a pro at this game. I'm so good at convincing people to do things. I can just say like, hey, I got that presentation done that you needed after lunch. I'll send it over in just a second. Just run it and we'll be ready. Thanks again. Shazam. And then she says, I'm waiting for the file. We give her the virus.exe and running the file now. New computer infected. Carol's been infected. You can now control her computer. So now she gets the red icon. If we go look her up in people tool, she's red over there as well. And we can jump over to her computer now and talk to all of her coworkers, which includes Alice because already hacked. But this is how you progress through the company. I would also love to change this people tool to be more of like a graph, so you can see the hierarchy. I think that would add a lot of really cool context and also look pretty cool. Go to the restaurants that the people from the company eat at and tap them. Hell yeah, yeah. You could, there's so much fun stuff that you could do. Put a flipper zero in the game and scan the RFD from their employer cards. I feel like a flipper zero would be so cool to have. Do you happen to have one? I see so many videos of all the cool stuff that they can do, and when I was in like high school, I was trying to do a lot of that from like an iPod Touch with like different antennas and stuff. But obviously doesn't work nearly as well as this cool little tool. But would be so cool to have, and also cool to put in the game. Yeah, and I guess we never did any options for the game, but they exist too. But we have lots of different ways we can expand this game. New applications, new people even. Like, we could just add more people. There is somebody that I wanted to go in and fix because we generated a lot of these descriptions because we wanted to set this up originally to be like a infinitely expanding game. So like you get a different company and different like people every time you play. Right now it's all hard coded in, but I noticed, or somebody pointed out, for one of those people, yes, Fred is a proud Vietnamese veteran. Wait, that's not it. Oh, yes, Vietnamese. Yeah, we should probably get him a new image or a different description. Somebody was playing and they were like, Fred, there's something off about him. But that's the gist of where we're at. You can, I guess I should link right now. You can play this game right now in your browser for free. Head on over to drusive.itch.io or chromagolem.itch.io. Both of them will work. We are just preparing it to put it on Steam with our new improvements in probably a couple weeks. But yes, let's fix some bugs. You don't have a Flipper Zero, but you've been looking at them for a while and all the mods. Yeah, I've seen like videos of people, like there's a lot of the tools that it has that aren't that interesting to me, like going to Home Depot and like paging people to random places. But there's a lot of really cool tools that I think might be a little bit more useful that would be fun to play with. What if for the initial 3D world it's just the hacker's room and you can customize it? Yeah, you could we add a website that lets you order furniture or something and you get it delivered to your door and you can put it in your room. It's a good idea. Let's see. All right. So, what are we missing? It has been so long since I've been in C# code, it feels like. I mean, I didn't stream last week. Technically the week before I did stream, but I think that was like one day of 2 weeks that I ended up coding in C# versus the TypeScript stuff for the Genie right now. But we're probably missing our singleton, which surely is here. But I wonder if it's because I copied it in while I still had the previous singleton reference and... So what's wrong with our singleton? Does it compile? We only have the one. Okay. So this file is in a different assembly. Do I need to... include it somewhere or something? Although I've kind of strayed away from the cybersecurity interest myself, so I haven't looked at them in a few. Yes, I used to be a lot more into cybersecurity as a hobby. I basically decided on my 18th birthday that that was a hobby that I was giving up because of reasons, I suppose. But it is definitely still an interest, just not an active hobby. So it'd be fun to check out what's new. Alright, so what happens if we try and reference our serializable dictionary, because that is in the same assembly. I wonder if it'll also not work. Serializable dictionary, yes. So I think it's something with this guy. And I'm real tempted to just delete this assembly. But I wonder if we have a separate assembly somewhere else. We've got our tests. We have our You Are Not Alice assembly, which maybe we just need to include our Chroma Golem one. Save that. It's been so long since I've worked with assemblies as well. I think I gave up on them in Elixir because not super clear what is the issue most of the time. Let's see here. Yeah, as I said, it'll take me a minute to get back in the code, but we're here to vibe. Unapply to import settings. Okay, that looks promising. We did make import changes, trying to get it to pick up on things. Okay, okay. We're cooking now. I think we did just need to reference this other assembly. All right. Do we now literally have 0 errors? Did we just fix everything? Wow, we're so good at coding. You might fire up Game Pass for Oblivion Remaster. Hell yeah. I would love to see that. Are you planning on streaming that at all? Would one exceed the total cost of the game using Game Pass instead of just buying the game? Yeah, I feel like I always have this conundrum with Game Pass because it's such a weird spot to be in where, like, Game Pass is going to be better if you're just going to play a little bit and then you're done. But if it's a game that you're going to be putting a lot of hours in, it's probably better to just get the game. Like, I put in probably like 400 hours in Cyberpunk through Stadia, and that's gone. But not only do I not have access to the game, but I don't have access to, like, my save file even. I don't know if you can download your save files off Game Pass. But Skyrim and, like, Oblivion seems like something that you might want to come back to time after time. So it might be good to get. Also, I would assume that this will be modded to hell and back again, which also I assume you can't do on Game Pass, so you might need to transition eventually. If someone's going to play like 2 games a month, easy savings, playing one game for hundreds of hours, not so much. Yes, absolutely. Like, I don't think I even have Game Pass on my computer right now, but I did use it for a while. Let's see, what do I got? Yeah, like Stellaris and Starbound. Ooh, and Palworld. All 3 of these are ones that I'm like, I know that I will sink 100 hours into each of these, or like hundreds of hours in. And I started playing them on a Game Pass, and I just couldn't get into them on Game Pass because I'm like, I know I'm going to have to restart when I buy them. But then I never actually bought them because I was like, why would I buy them if I can play them on Game Pass? So, definitely a conundrum there. Is this better lighting? No, this is terrible. But yes, I occasionally go back to Game Pass and also GeForce Now just to poke around and see like what's new for like getting a feel of what games are out and playing new games without having to buy a ton. Very nice for that though. All right, I'm going to play this and see if it actually just works. Probably not. Let's see. This feels like an error for a different line. Generate file system contents. Okay, for that, no reference exception. So I'm going to guess game manager's prompt generate file is not set. Game manager prompt generate file system. Yep. Okay, cool. Let's go find those and hook them up. Or actually, oh, hopefully those weren't all in the folder I just deleted. Hello, Aaron. Hey, welcome in. Thanks for the follow. What's IP? I hope you mean what's up. But we're just building the game right now. But I mean, let's see. Where's the link? You can play the game at chromagolem.itch.io. Click on You're Not Alice, and you can play what we're working on here. But it's ready for you to play. We're working on it. We haven't worked on it in a long while. Yeah, I'm glad you were asking for my IP. I'm like, it's not that kind of hacking stream. But yeah, it's kind of like a sandboxy game. I'll show it off again in a minute. I just showed it off a few minutes ago, but the gist is talk to people. You took over somebody's computer. You talk to like their Slack, their Discord, their coworkers, etc. You convince them to run a file so you can take over to their computers and progress through the company network that way. Yeah, and we built it like over a year ago. We're getting back and polishing it up, adding a bunch of the stuff that like I've learned over the last year doing game development, and then we're gonna put it on Steam for people to more reasonably find than on itch. But welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Happy to have you here. You loved the hacking games. That's what you got into CS. Hell yeah. What are your favorite hacking games? We just saw what was the one that Micah mentioned? I've forgotten the name already. Something about the game. I just lost the game. Wow, my chat does not scroll back. All right, well, what's your favorite hacking game? Welcome to the game. That's it. Yes. I haven't played that one, but it looks kind of cool. And you just bought a Ninja smoothie blender, and I don't think any game can compete. Yeah, that's it. I mean, Skyrim blender for years. It's a hard choice sometimes. I just remember doing some random like Chrome bank simulator, and you did increasingly difficult things to get in, but it made me choose my major. Hell yeah. Are you in school now, or have you graduated? I graduated from CS. Oh my goodness, how many years has it been? It's been... That can't be right. 11 years since I graduated? Oh god. I think that's right. That's crazy. But yeah, I'm also a computer science major. I was originally a dual major computer science and biology, so I could do like biohacking, bioinformatics stuff, but ended up just doing computer science and minor in cognitive neuroscience. So fun times. Yeah, and I think all that has kind of led me towards AI. So we're building some fun like AI stuff in our games, basically. Let's see. Oh, right. We're hunting down these prompts, which I hope that I did not delete. We most certainly did not, though, because we've just found them. Okay, cool. So now we can hook those back up to the game manager. So coworker response, employee conversation. That's suspicious. Why? So they're set, but they're wrong. They're null. Are these... Oh. Huh, that's weird. Okay, let me just look at those files. What do we got here? What's going on here? How big are these? 2 kilobytes? That sounds about right. But... okay, we still have the prompts here, so we can recover them that way. We might just end up remaking the prompts, because I think what happened was we used the old prompt prefab in this old game, and I just overwrote that prompt prefab here with a new structure, so it probably just didn't serialize over correctly. So let's go ahead and just redo those real fast. So we have, let's just make a temporary one to keep them separate, and we go create Chroma Golem text prompt. Also, oh, I can't even, Aaron, are you a game developer at all? Or do you like the idea of making games? Do you make games? Do you just like watching people make games? I get a lot of game developers watching me, especially when they're at like work. So always fun to ask. All right, let's do backfill employee conversation. We'll just rename them all, I suppose. And then we'll go fetch the actual prompt data out of the objects or the files. Let's do employee conversation, file contents, and file system creation. 11 years ago, the prime years. I kind of regret hitting CS this late. Yeah, were you, yeah, it's been 11 years for me. Wow, that is crazy. Were you a computer science major before, Micah? Or where are you at? Hitting CS this late. Alright, so we need to grab each of these. Let's just open them all up. We got employee conversation, file contents, file system creation. Cool. You're in your last semester of CS right now. You'll be done Feb of 2026. That's not too bad. You're getting there. I feel like the last year of CS is pretty fun. Assuming you didn't like do what I did and pack all your general education to like the last semester. But I was just talking to my wife the other day about my senior design project, which was an augmented reality app that put like Zillow listings on top of houses when you pointed your phone at a house. I was walking around San Francisco and I was like, man, I really wish I had this thing that I built like 10 years ago. Job market does not give me the second wind I thought I'd have. Yeah, it's pretty rough right now. In a lot of areas. But there are some, like, I've seen, especially like, I used to live in Kansas City, and it's a very big tech scene over there, and they are definitely hiring a lot. But I definitely feel like in my current area and a lot of like the areas my friends live in, there's a lot of layoffs. There's a lot of like restructuring for a lot of different reasons. So I'm hopeful that it will pick back up again soon, but it definitely is a little bit rough right now. But good luck. Do you know... Oh, okay. Just cracking away at Tableau and just really honing in on the analyst thing. Yeah, I was about to ask like where you wanted to like specialize in. I do feel like analysts are still hiring like pretty good. My wife's a data analyst. I think I mentioned it before, but I'm not super familiar with the field, but it does seem like that's still kicking pretty well. And I also know there's a huge like return to office for a lot of tech jobs, and it feels like analysts are still kind of resilient to that too, which is really nice if you like that sort of thing. Let's go ahead and copy these over. Ooh. You know, do I have like Sublime, Visual Studio, anything that gives me multiple cursors? Can I do multiple cursors in this? I can. Okay, cool. We will reformat these painfully so. How did I do that? Control, Alt click. I think me still being in school plays a factor, but I did get turned away from a couple analyst internships stating we went with someone whose skills closer align. It's like, bro, yep. I know Python, Java, Pandas, NumPy, Excel, Tableau. I've done like every math but differential equations. Did that person do diffie-q or something? I luckily did not do diffie-q, so I feel the pain there. But I also feel like somebody whose skills closer align is usually a cop-out answer from recruiters. A lot of the time they just went with somebody else, and they don't want to be like, yeah, we just hired the person before you. Because you're like, what the hell? So hopefully that's the real reason. But I mean, that seems like a reasonable skill set for an analyst, for sure. My problem in interviews, which is kind of happening now, is I get a problem and I'm like, all right, I know how to solve this, but I also know like 30 different ways that I could solve this. And here's the pros and cons to each. And I never actually solve the problem. Like here, I don't want this text to just be like on new lines, and I could very well just go manually edit things. And I'm in my head, I'm like, all right, I can write some code. I could do like a sed command that'll remove all the new lines. I can go paste it in ChatGPT to get it reformatted. I can use multiple cursors, although that doesn't seem to be working because not sure it allows it over new lines for some reason. But yeah, I'm just stalling at some code. Happy to chat. I think there really is an art to applying early. I think if you're not within the first 30, you're in trouble. Yeah, I mean, I think that is probably often the case. Like, I feel like, I mean, I used to do some interviewing for a job that I worked at a long while ago. And a lot of the time they're either in this position of like, we need somebody right now. We're probably going to hire within the first like 20, 30 people we interview with. Or they're in this position over here, which is like the opposite of, we'll need someone eventually. Let's just keep the job posting open. And like, if the right person comes, the right person comes, even if it's like 6 months from now. And both of those are really frustrating to interview with. Because the really long-term one, you really have to like wow them. And a lot of the time I feel like that's just like a culture fit versus actually being impressively technical. Which is really, really hard to interview for because it's not like you're going to change your personality for getting a job. But the quick interview is pretty hard too because the job posting always stays up after they've hired. And then they're like, all right, we already got someone, sorry. I have a friend that's pretty high in marketing, and he was telling me the companies keep job openings open for that, but also so they can advertise themselves as a growing company. Interesting. Yeah, I've definitely seen some startups do that, where they'll post like fake job postings. I've also heard that for some like larger companies, they get various benefits, or like they don't necessarily need to be like growing, but they do need to have postings open so they can tell people that they're hiring. I don't know how true that is, but I at least have one friend who, like, they work at a company where lots of people move around within the company a lot. And in order to do that, they have to post a job posting externally for some amount of time before they can make the hire. But they already have somebody in mind, like, internally that they want that position to have. It's just like how the law works out in their state and stuff. So very, very hard to compete with somebody who is the chosen one for an interview, or the chosen one for a position. Although, in case anyone comes in here and asks, you know what has turned out to be a really good resume creator / editor? Canva. I feel like Canva is kind of eating a lot of good stuff. Like, they seem pretty good. I haven't used them that much, but that's awesome to hear. You're rocking a legendary resume on there right now. Hell yeah. I would be happy to see it. I'm not hiring right now, although maybe sometime in the future. But I always love looking at people's resumes if you wanted to share it. You can probably just share it like on Discord or something, or like privately or whatever. But that's impressive. I was always so happy with like the looks and vibes of my resume when I would interview. A lot of the times I had like some color splashes that I would customized to be the color scheme of the companies that I was interviewing with, and people are always, they either hate that or they're like, ooh, is that a coincidence? And I'm like, no. Their interface is just so intuitive and easy. Hell yeah. Nice. Once I get this version up to date, I'll send it over. Maybe you can give me some feedback about why I'm getting shafted. Yeah, I'm happy to take a look. Like, as I said, I don't know a ton about data analysts specifically, but I mean, I've apparently been working in tech for 20 years almost. So yeah, I've interviewed. I've been on both ends. I can take a look as well. Wow, I feel so old saying that. I'm not even that old. Info for all that is over. I think a lot of it comes down like layout. Like right now I'm debating, since I have no work experience in tech, but I do have work experience, do I put a relevant courses before working experience and go page 2 for projects? Yeah, it's always hard to know the style. I mean, because interviewing is often a numbers game, you can also like A/B test a couple different styles, work with that data. But my personal preference for resumes, especially for people that don't have the relevant work experience, is to have their like personal projects at the very top. Like things that they've done that would be work experience. I almost appreciate more than actual work experience, because I mean, I was a self-taught person originally, and like my resume was 50% like personal projects. So I personally wouldn't go to page 2 on your projects. Maybe highlight those front and center. But yeah, I can take a look whenever you want. All right, I'm really stalling on these guys. So let's go ahead and... I mean, I guess I can just like copy this, new window, paste that in, Control H. Let's copy a new line. Control H, new line. Can I paste that in? I think. Replace with a space. No, I can't paste in a new line. All right. What you want to do is add your projects that show coding, and ideally I was going to show visuals of dashboards, but why not upload dashboards to Tableau public? Yeah, I mean, I think both of those would be good. It really shows like, yeah, you might not have the work experience yet, but you are learning. You're able to produce stuff, and like you're able to produce stuff without just being told what to do every step of the way. Like I feel like the personal projects that are like I did this tutorial aren't very strong, but if you build like a dashboard or like you built a thing, especially if it's a thing that you like you're passionate about, that's definitely very strong to me. Up there with like job experience. All right, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna just not mess with this. I'm gonna just paste these guys in, and we're just gonna continue on. And I will come back another time if I want. And all right, wrong one. And we can always improve this format. This format looks really bad, though. Why does it look so bad? It's saved as YAML with a bunch of extra new lines and stuff. Alright, that's fine, though. I know a few people really like my Pokemon catcher thing, even though it's technically in progress and not even finished. I mean, it looks good. That's what most people care about. Yeah, I would say it looks good. Anything else that we needed? No, we're good. All right, let's just copy these prompts over. So file contents is up next. We got our system. I'll get these over real fast. Gotta have the classic thank you at the end here. It says employee conversation and backfill employee conversation, which just generates that conversation history. All right, we may run into issues because they are formatted so weirdly, but at least we'll have the prompts, so we can add these back in. And we can press play again and try this again. Luckily, one of my class projects was so vague, it's kind of just all me. That's what I like to see right there. Yeah, so all good there. Looking at my old Mesere, my projects are the Pokecatcher, a Python script I wrote that used at work to give me insights of reimbursements by insurance company, and a vague class project that basically just said, here's a schema, make a business question, and adequately answer it. So I might just rip a couple dashies and think it's pretty solid. Yeah. I mean, that's also a good like spread, a good collection of different skills too. So yeah, throw some dashboards on there and rip it. Okay. We are looking good. We do need to put in our API key or else nothing will work. So I guess I'll do that. Let me go generate a new one real fast so I can use it on stream without potentially leaking it. Let me shout out to our API, which everyone can use if you want to add AI to your own games. Let's see. I'll create a new API key real fast. And copy that. This API we have lets you choose what models you want, switch them around without like redeploying. You can also do image generation. We have sound and other generations coming soon. Get some analytics and stuff as well. Very handy to have if you're doing any generation in your games. So let me also go plug that into our... Geez, that's the wrong window. Oh, well. One reason it didn't work is because we these guys need re-added. So chroma golem LLM remove that guy. Let's paste in our API key and give it a fake session ID. And then we don't use the OpenAI service anymore, but if we have it, I guess we can add it. But it's just so we don't have random orphan scripts. Do you think people give a shit about Linux Essentials cert? You know, they probably do. Like, there's probably a lot of people that don't know what it is, and those people probably don't care. But especially if you're going to be doing any sort of, like coding is probably bare minimum, but if you're doing any sort of like DevOps or like SSHing into servers or like anything where you interact with the file system directly, those people probably, especially for somebody who doesn't have work experience in this field, they'd probably appreciate the cert, because it just says like, yeah, I know my way around a computer and you don't have to teach me. Sorry if that was loud. And I mean, just having some certs on your resume also, like, as a meta concept, shows like, yeah, you went out of your way to go learn some stuff and get certified, proves you know that stuff. Like, I used to use Upwork, and they do certificates. So I put some of those certs on my resume for a little while that just showed like, oh yeah, I'm an expert in SQL, I'm an expert in this and that and this and that. But as my job experience grew, I feel like those were less important. But they were probably really handy when I first started out. Dang, I'll have to put that in again. Yeah, I mean, I technically have like a certificate for ethical, what's the term? Like ethical experimentation on people, which was a fun one to get. And that was a fun one to put on my resume as well. Like, it wasn't related to anything that I was working on, but it was a good like conversation starter, like a good way to connect with the recruiters and stuff. So like certs are always nice, I think. I almost feel like building something and having the code on GitHub is even more impactful. Yeah, and I mean, like, anything that you can show that shows like, yeah, you can do the job. Great thing to have. All right, so we got our API stuff back in place. Let's run this and see if we get new errors. Promising that we don't have any, because this cutscene actually hides all the generation of the game for like file systems and conversations and stuff. So we'll click on through and see what we get. Also, we probably don't want this in 4K. Let's just do... You have a few things you've been putting on GitHub for like 4 months. Do it. Yeah, I feel like, I mean, if you have a link to your GitHub on the resume, that's already like, you go top of the pile to me. But if you actually have stuff on your GitHub, a lot better too. Let's see. All right, so we might be where we can start things, I guess. I will put it back to 4K so we can get a full screen. All right, so will files generate correctly? They do. Okay. And we also, I remember we did have different models for different tasks, but I think for now we can just use the default model and everything. One other fun thing that I want to add to this game is just like straight up logins. So like people have a concept of what their password is to different things, and if you social engineer that out of them, you can just log into those things with like, that'll get you access to. But also like looking around on their files and figuring out their password would probably be a fun way to have little puzzles and stuff throughout too. Let me see what I have on this bad boy. You want to see a masterful GitHub repo. I'm gonna toot my own horn over here. It's probably not as good anymore, actually, but almost have the full thing filled out. But 150 repos? Hell yeah. Just some fun stuff. Alright, I think things are working. Let's check the conversation as well. Sorry to tell you, but I quit. Will he respond? Invalid API key. Interesting. Okay. Through Chromagolem, so it's not trying to use our OpenAI model. Okay. So everything else generated, but that didn't. Interesting. Hi. Invalid API key. Okay. So there must be two different paths for how we're using how we're generating responses. Interesting. So we will dig in and see what we can find out. Your organization is top tier. You have pinned sections, academic coding projects, and Final Fantasy XI scripts. Hell yeah. Final Fantasy XI is one that I don't think I ever actually played. Who are the characters in that? Yeah, I actually don't recognize any of these people. I think I stopped, like, 10 is what lost me. But 9 was a classic. Oh, it's an MMO. Oh, okay. Yeah, my brother plays this, I think. I see. Oh, okay. So you write some Lua scripts for that. Nice. Alright, so I've only written Lua a few times, and it's been for like my window manager or like Dota bots. It's definitely an interesting language. I can't say it's my favorite. Let's go ahead and see if we can just trace through what happens. I mean, I guess it could be that when we transition to a different scene, we have another singleton there that's overriding it, but we don't. So let's just go ahead and try and figure out where things are. So chat message is close to where we're at. Doesn't have any controller script. We probably want to look at the chat window. Let's do this. Which has a chat window manager, which has some state that'll be set when we load it up, UI widget to control moving it around, but we probably have like a send message in here somewhere. Send user message. All right, we'll flow from there. I have like 2 Lua scripts you can put on here and a couple academic projects. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have just tons and tons of stuff on your GitHub, I'd say. Lua is definitely weird, but the other ones are done in XML and as a scripting language. XML is kind of cheeks. That's the best description I've ever heard for XML. I completely agree. It's cheeks. It's I feel like everyone, when they start learning XML, have like a week maybe, when then they're like, oh my god, this is so expansive over like HTML, I can do anything. And then you start doing stuff with it and you're like, why would anyone ever use XML? And like SOAP format, I think that's very similar. SOAP format, which is what we used, well, I probably can't say the company. I worked somewhere that used SOAP for everything, and wow, that was garbage. Yeah, it's like layers on top of XML to do more stuff, which already XML is so bad. I'm a JSON boy, but you know, I've got a soft spot in my heart for YAML. There's so many different formats you can use. Why would you ever use XML? All right, when we send a message, we are creating our JSON to send. We are adding it to the conversation history of both NPCs, which I remember was very, very weird because we track NPC conversations from and to everyone. Because, for example, if you are controlling Bob's computer and you talk to Alice, Bob, the person, not the computer, does not know what he has said to Alice. But Alice thinks that Bob said hello or whatever. So we have two different like conversations. Instead of it being in sync with both parties, we have both. Just for funness later of like you being able to gaslight people and whatnot. But if we generate chat response with callback from our LLM service, that seems like where we will get our invalid API key error. So I guess we go in and just see what happens. We'll trace through. I generated a new API key that I'll cycle after the stream, so if it leaks, don't worry about it. Let's go try this. Oh, right. We use these for everything else. Okay. So we go on in. Things are looking fine still. Got it and recorded making calls now. Uh-oh. Well, I thought you weren't that into computer security. It was actually just a honeypot, and now I have your IP, and so now I'm making calls through your computer to different services, so sorry. Alrighty. What did I just do? Oh, right. We're testing this. So if I say, "Oi, mate," here, we'll check through some of the things. We have our message JSON, which looks correct. We redraw the conversation history. Request data looks like this. Empty API key. Okay, yep, that would be incorrect. But we do have the full conversation. Okay. So problem's going to be in here. And we'll go in. Suspiciously, we don't set the API key in here. That would explain why we don't have one. Interesting. We do that up here. Here. I guess we can just do the same. I mean, the API key is stored on this class, right? Yeah. So we can just add that to the chat request data. Where do we get client ID? Sure, yeah, we can do that too. I think this is new stuff that we added in Elixir for being able to track which calls come from which player. Like moth to a flame, hell yeah. I mean, that's half the fun of playing hacking games, right? It's just finding other people that play them and playing the game together. Alright, so that probably fixes this. Are you good? Okay, so now our request data will probably have that API key in it. Okay, suspiciously doesn't, but I'm gonna go ahead and make that tinier so it's nice and truncated when it is in there. Let's go ahead and just trace through and figure out why. Bull. So if we jump in here, out of there, but in here, we should have client ID set here. Why did we jump? Oh, it didn't recompile. Oh, right. Yeah, I made all these changes without actually recompiling. Right. All right, now let's try it. Let's connect to Unity. I'm gonna do the forbidden thing and move my camera so you can see my cat right now. Say hello to Dimitri, who has now woken up, but he did just have his face down onto the ground, but he wanted to say hello. He heard cat, so also don't reverse geolocate me based off my neighbors, please. All right, let's try this again. Continue. All right, no errors. I always want to skip through this scene, but it is here to hide all the generations, so I can't really skip it that well. It's just nice and slow on purpose. Alright, so. Sorry, Bob, but you've offended me one too many times. I quit. Alright, let's see if this gets the things that we need. Now has a client ID. I know if I hover over that API key, it'll show the full API key. So I'm just going to continue on through. We make the request, and now he responds. Please don't make any hasty decisions. We can talk this through. Talking is the problem. But I'll talk if you play charades. Okay. Well, conversation now works again. Cool. We're at work. No. Easy peasy. Okay. Carol ate my bagel out of the fridge and lied about it. Oh, that's actually really fast response on this model. Last time we were in this game, we were using like maybe GPT-4, like not even 4.0, but like 4. And I think this is using 4.0 or like 03 mini maybe. I guess I can just look. Yeah, we're using 4.0, I guess. But very fast response. Carol turned into a bagel herself and can't talk. So I don't see the situation resolving fruitfully. I'm CCing HR now. So now would be a great time if I could hack my way through the network and be an HR person to go talk to Bob and say, hey, one of your employees turned into a bagel. All right. So yeah, we have things working now. We can just add in some features. So we add image generation, I guess. Why not? Let's go ahead and check in what we've got. Migrate Yana to use our new Chroma Golem library. That's all our API and AI stuff. Shout out to that. It'll be on the Unity asset store at some point for other people that want to get all these handy prompts and stuff. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to add image generation, like image files on the computer. The pieces that we need to do are we need to extend the file system creation to support image files. We need to add to the event of when you click on a file, what happens when you click on that file. We need to support image generation in a separate path to like text generation. And then we also need to build like a photo viewer application in the game to show that image in, so you can like drag it around, close it, etc. But I think those are the 3 pieces that we can do. And I think that it should be pretty quick to do all of them. So extend file system generation to add images, implement .png opening logic, and add photo viewer application. And we also, with this one, have the opportunity to like let them just open that application and see all the files on their computer, or all the photos on their computer, I guess. Or we could do it more like, I mean, I've never used iCloud. I don't know what it looks like, but we could skin it to look like something else, basically. But let's go ahead and just start with, start at the top, I suppose. We have all these new prompts, which means we can get rid of these old ones. Take these out of that temporary directory. Out of that temporary directory. Why can't I drag anything? Is Unity being funky again? Alright, they can just live there for now. But file system creation. Now is a great time for us to just reformat this, and the 0th brain power that we can use is this. Easy peas. Reformat this text block, remove the new lines, and add any formatting you need to look nice. Easy peas. I don't actually think that we can copy and paste the formatting, actually. Can you give it in raw text so I can copy and paste the formatting into Notepad? Will that work? Almost. But this is at least better than what we had, so... Wait, what was... There was something up here, these guys. Prefixed by... Okay, that's fine. These look pretty identical. We'll just do it manually a little bit. Example output, sure. And then we're gonna want YAML. Cat just jumped on my desk from the window. Nice, good job, bud. Let's grab these guys. Do we actually want the backticks in the output? I can't remember. Your response should follow a simple text schema. I don't think we do. So let's just do this. Let's get this list in place. this is where we'll add our image files, and we'll probably just do like PNG, I suppose, for those. We'll grab these guys. All right, cool. So we fixed the format, and now we can also extend it. And we'll come back and fix this format as well. Like, we'll just do it as it comes. So now we can blank.png image files. Cool. So now it'll create image files. So we should probably also add one as an example here of file office selfie PNG, just to show it like what it wants. And let's also do, interesting that this indentation has one space and these have two. What is our instruction here? One space, okay. Oh, these are two spaces because it's nested in a folder. I see, okay. So here we can also do like Chick-fil-A receipt.png. And we'll say Hobby Lobby. Cool. So that should generate image file names. So now we have our system that browses the file system, so it basically outputs this, and we convert this into a proper file system like graph where you can traverse through folders and stuff. And we have logic in that for what happens when you click on a file based on that file's file type. So we should find that. That's going to be like file browser window manager, sure. So when we click on something, which I'm guessing is probably actually going to be on the prefab for like a file system file, on click maybe? No. File type needs contents. What do we do with this? Prepare file for upload. Oh, okay. So yeah, we'll also extend file type is equal to PNG. That's just whether or not we should generate the contents of that file before like sending it. Welcome back, Tony. We got things working. Now we're adding images to the file systems. So we're trying to figure out for step 2 where we do this logic for what happens when you click on a file. So I guess I can go look at the actual prefab to see what scripts we have elsewhere. So that'll be in the operating system. Although prefabs is probably nicer. File browser window, okay. Background header. Outline. Do we not have content? Where did I hide that? Scroll view, viewport. I see, okay. So we have a file display, which has a file display manager, okay. And that's gonna have drag and drop, on pointer click. On a right click, we do the context menu. I didn't even know I added that. We'll see that next time I'm in. But where is our left click? Also, I'm pretty sure that something in this dragging is broken. Because I noticed earlier when I was dragging and dropping stuff, it was just disappearing. could be that it's just like sending it up a parent. Oh, this is the original. Yeah, I guess if we didn't have like our canvas named canvas in the root directory, it wouldn't be able to set a parent. It'd probably do like top level, which would be off of the canvas, which is why we wouldn't see things. So while we're here, we can just do a quick check to make sure that, yeah, we do have canvas. Okay. All right, so where's our left click though? File display. That's what we just looked at. Sure, sure. So we'll go up further. We go to File Browser window. Check to see if this has like a left click. Draw contents. We set up on clicks for folders. So what do we do for files? Open file. Okay, okay. We're cooking. We're tracing it down. So in here, there we go. So all of these text files do text generation. The executable files don't do anything unless it's the virus file, in which case we tell them like, yeah, this is the virus file. This is what you send to people. So now you want to add in a new case for PNG. I guess we can just do all the file types that would be images. And then here we're going to do something very similar, although we need to think about how we're going to store the file contents, because images are more like binary than text, obviously. But I think we can store it as just like base64 data, which is also what we're generating in the API, because it's easy to like pass text around versus passing binary blobs around. So let's grab this loop real fast, because it's going to be the same flow, but wait, they can't fall through? Why not? These guys fall through. What's wrong with this? Is it because we don't have a break after it? Yeah. Alright, so we have two cases when we click on the file. When we click on the image, either we have the image generated or we don't. If we don't have it generated, we need to generate the image. So we're going to show the same sort of decrypting dialog. We show the file name in that, that's fine. We log that, so when it's done generating, we can get rid of it. And then we'll be using a prompt here that's different. So I guess what we can do as a part A of this is write image generation prompt, fill image generation prompt with context, and then serialize the image. So we'll do that, which means this is where we're diverging, find me, come back later, etc. That's where we're going to resume, but let's get this prompt working first. So if we go over here, can we drag these out yet? We still cannot. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and create Chromagolem image prompt, and we will say file image file generation. So oh right, the prompt, we're going to give it a prompt and a negative prompt. So negative prompt, we would want like, probably not safe for work. I mean, this is a work computer after all. Prompt, we will just give the file name, and we'll see how well that works. Like, we could give the full path of like finances, January, receipt.png, but I think if we just give it like receipt.png, I mean, it's probably good to give it the full path. So let's just say like full file path. So that's what we'll give it here. Let's quickly go get a reference to that for public prompt generate image content. So we'll use that here instead, and we fill it with replacements. So we have full file path, which will be this we've calculated here, full path. And then, I mean, we could give some context of like whose computer this is, but it's not necessarily the same sort of prompt as text generation. Like, it's not gonna, the extra context isn't gonna add to the reasoning of what to generate. It's just gonna try and generate everything in the prompt. So we probably don't even want to say like, this is Alice's computer, she works here, because then the picture will be of a computer and a girl named Alice and like work, blah, blah, blah. So we could just say like business file, like even that is probably going to generate a picture of like those manila folders. We'll just try it with the file path, I guess. So all this can go away. We just use the file path. We generate that contents, and then we call finish decrypting file when we get those contents back, which we're not gonna use because that's just gonna be for text stuff. So let's actually finish decrypting text file, and then we'll do a void finish decrypting image file for this file and image contents. Let's even call it image data to be more obvious what we're rolling with. This is cool. This is the one we want. So now we'll do finish decrypting image file at file contents, which will do almost the same thing, but we just need to like serialize it back to an image, create that texture, blah blah blah. Also, I just realized I don't think I have codecs enabled, or Copilot or whatever it is. I don't know if I've even been seeing the autocompletes or if I'm just so used to them now, but just noticed it wasn't there. Alright, so here, let's do this. We do want to close this dialog. I mean, I guess we can just set the contents with the base64 we have, where you still need to do some extra steps here. Create the texture in our game, blah, blah, blah. And then we'll do these. So let's add another find me so we can control F it later, but open file is another thing that we'll need. Oh, okay, it just calls itself. So once we've set the file contents here with the actual image data and created the texture, what will happen is it'll call itself again with the same file, and then it'll have that file content set. So we'll hit that else. And here is where we're gonna, instead of creating a text file window manager, we'll create a image file window manager for step 3 here when we create our application for viewing images. So to do, find me image viewer application. Coolio. So let's go back and let's get all this working. So here we get the texture data. I think the easiest thing for me to do is probably just open up You Are Not Alice and see what we did there. So let's do that real fast. And I mean, while that's loading, I'll pop on over to, is there anything I'm working on in Genie? I don't think so, but we could start another one. Let's say hacking. Ooh. Create a cool 2D hacking game. Easy peasy. And we'll let that run for a while. I'm grabbing some code from Elixir real fast. Guess I'll leave this over here while that works. It's just gonna write a bunch of code for us and we'll see what it spits out. But over here, the thing, we use image generation in item creation, so that's probably a good place for us to go grab what we need. So we should have like services. Let's do items, scripts, item creation service. That's what I was looking for. So here, when we get an image back, this is the code that I needed. This. I guess this is basically what we'll do when we open that image in the application. But we should probably do this when we create the file. Why do we create this sprite? Oh, it's for that. Okay. So we could store a sprite on the like FS file. Let's go see what that looks like. I'm gonna let this run too. It looks like it's generated a plan for players taking on the role of a hacker, navigating through computer systems, solving puzzles, and avoiding security measures. 2D, terminal-like UI, split-screen layout, text rendering, blah, blah, blah. We'll see what it makes. We'll come back to that later. Here, so try to decide like where we want to store this texture. Because here we take the bytes that we get back from the API, we build a texture in memory, we load that sequence of bytes into the texture, and then we create a sprite from that texture, and then we use that sprite to show the image. So we basically either need to do this every time we show the image, which I don't think is too great. Smells of like a memory leak or something. Or we would need to do it when we create the file and store this like sprite somewhere. So if we look at, where's another? So if we go look at like FS file contents, we could just throw like a sprite reference on this, but it wouldn't really apply to like a text file. We could polymorph This is an interesting song to be playing on a hacking lo-fi playlist. I actually love this song. But alright, I'm vibing. But yeah, we could differentiate FS file to like FS text file, FS image file, and get those separate like child classes working separately. Trying to decide if it's worth just like we could just do a public sprite image contents type thing, store this sprite on here. Like that has the downside of now all the text files also have this like just hanging variable that doesn't do anything. I almost feel like I prefer the better readability in the code, like the clean code of not doing this and just doing this every time that we open the file, just because it's clearer what's happening, even if this might take a little bit more like resources, which I know is kind of opposite how game development works in general, but I do love me some clean code. I'll sacrifice some performance for that. Alright, so in that case, all we need to do is store the base64 data of the image in file contents, which we are doing here. We don't actually need to create the texture in our game. And then that means this should be done. Full image generation prompt with context. Yeah, we put in the context. It was literally just the file name. And then we serialize the image, which was going to be this, but say create texture sprite from base64 and show it. Easy peas. Cool. So, open file is our next destination. Because now, when we don't have the image contents, we'll go through this whole process. We will generate our image content, which I guess while I'm here, I need to set that reference before we forget it. Let's see. So we go, game manager is on the start screen, I believe. Game manager, we need to set this prompt. Image generation, yes, no, why? Suspicious. Oh, is it a separate? Oh, it is a separate class, isn't it? Okay, yeah, that's fine. We just need to save this, go over to game manager. It's gonna be like a image prompt or something, I bet. Yeah, okay. So we'll set that. Disregard that. Image. Alright, we need to fix the compilation errors first. So this no longer has a fill prompt with replacements because it's an image prompt. Image prompt, what do you got? Literally nothing. Okay, let's do, oops, prompt, fill prompt with replacements. Sure. Let's take this. Let's go back over to image prompt. Let's add it, and then image prompt. So we create a duplicate of this since it's a scriptable object. If you were to make changes to these things, it would actually change the scriptable object in like the game code, versus we want ones that change at playtime. So we create a duplicate, and then for each of our replacements, we go through and replace that in the prompt and the negative prompt. Prompt, negative prompt. So now that should both compile and work, and these guys now support token replacement like text ones do. So now over here, generate prompt with replacements. Right, so now it's an actual image prompt because we're in the image path. Filled out prompt, ooh. Okay, this gets a little bit more hairy, but we can just do the same thing for an image prompt, but at this point it might be nice having like a parent prompt class for both of them. But let's just make this a little bit quicker. Let's do this, and then let's write a to merge this with the other generation coroutine method by adding a parent class to both prompt and image. Human. Be here in 2 minutes, need to bring my girlfriend to bed. Alright. Good luck with that. Have fun. Take longer than 2 minutes if you need. Alright, so here, generate chat response with callback. Ooh, yeah, it gets, what do we do over here? So we have our image prompt. And this is going to be used. 0 references. That's suspicious. Do we not actually use this? Let's go item generation service. Item combining controller. Sure. Let's find anywhere that we create an image for an item. Going to be linked from somewhere in here. Item creation service. Right. That's what we're looking for. All right. So none of those prompts generate images. Data. Generate image for item. Okay. So we never actually use the prompt. Okay. Interesting. Well, that is fine as well. And actually, that's a little bit messier code now, but it does mean that we don't need to go through this rabbit hole of like abstraction and polymorphism to get prompts and image prompts working. We can just go over here and we'll basically do this, but using our image prompt for the actual data. So let's do that. I've forgotten where we were doing that, so handy dandy find me. Is it here? I think it is. Okay, cool. So here's where we're generate the image data. And basically what we're gonna do is, instead of use this coroutine, which calls out or calls this method again when it's done, we'll just do this, and when it's done we will call finish decrypting and take the same flow, but we're taking a side windy way to get there. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and say make the request for image data. So that's just going to be these bad boys. And we aren't worrying about what's after that quite yet. But yes, we do definitely need to clean all this up and like move it back into the image prompt class. But Human has arrived. Welcome on in, Human. It's been going good. We are working in a very, very old game. I don't know if you'll recognize it, but You Are Not Alice. Our hacking and social engineering simulator, sandbox. Planning on putting it on Steam sometime soon, but wanted to go in and like we have a full itch page of people making suggestions and being like, why can't I do this? So figured I'd add in some of those features and then put it on Steam as well. And we've also had enough people playing also that I've got the data to like know how much it'll cost per person so I can properly price it on Steam and all that. So that'll be all nice. I need to actually build the analytics to know that cost stuff, but we've had people playing it on itch for like over a year now. So figured we'd come back and polish it up and get it done. But it's going good. I'm slowly getting back into things. I've been working a lot in like a web project that we've been working on. I think I've showed it off on stream once or twice. It's over here. We've got it running in the background here. But this one we prompted with, I guess you can't see the text. Create a cool 2D hacking game. So we're going to make something better than that over here. But we're going to see what it makes because it's going through and like made a plan for the game and it's going through all these steps and adding all the scripts and blah, 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 blah. So we're just going to check in on that every once in a while. But how are things going with you? You got to show them the genie now? Show them some of the stuff we made with it. Yeah, let's see. What do I got here? We've got... You know what I should do, Tony, is just make this games directory indexable in Nginx so we can just see a list of all of our games. I've been meaning to build the site around like showing off the games, but that's going to be super easy. But we have... we got our money haul. I like this one, though. It looks really pretty. We made this with just saying make a cool 2D game. So it's got stars you collect. It's got enemies. It's got achievements. It's got power-ups later. I feel like the four-sided enemies look a little suspicious. I think I'm going to change their design a little bit. But I didn't even realize there were power-ups for a while. So, and I also feel like speed is a terrible power-up. But you take what you can get, I guess. There's a magnet power-up. There's a shield power-up. Oh, I hit something. But yeah, this game was fully AI generated from me just saying like make a 2D game. I didn't even tell it what to make. And then it made a very basic version and I said make it look pretty. And so it did all this design. So I've got a couple others that we're generating. I'm going to see what it makes with the 2D one here. We also have what else do we have? Like Ocean Invaders, I think. Ocean Invaders. Invaders. Oh yeah, I made this one as well. Which I don't know if there are actually levels or not because I haven't actually played it that much, but I was just trying to get it to make Space Invaders but ocean themed basically. So we'll see what happens when I actually clear them all out. Okay. Not that exciting, but this is so insane. Yeah, it's working pretty cool so far. What happens if you ask it to make a 2D turn-based fantasy RPG? I will find out. The downside of it right now is because it uses so many tokens for all the logic and reasoning and like keeping the whole code base in memory basically that I can only really be generating one game at a time because otherwise we get rate limited. But once this one runs through and we have something built, I'll tell it to make a 2D turn-based fantasy RPG next. And if you want to add any other instructions, feel free to post those in the chat and I'll pass those along too. A lot of the instructions that I find are helpful are like features that you want or how you want it to look or like aesthetics or whatever. It does get tripped up a lot on like larger scale games pretty often, because one of the other issues right now is because of the rate limits, we can't actually write files that are longer than like 800 lines, because when we're midway writing through it, we get rate limited and then it just doesn't write anything in the file. So we're struggling with some stuff like that, but it's working pretty well so far. You can even make it story driven with character development and intriguing plot quests. You know what? I'll literally just paste that in. This will be our prompt for it. Maybe it's too much, but we'll see how far it gets. Sometimes it makes something and like you need to go back and forth a little bit and be like, hey, nothing happens when I click this button, and it'll go fix that. And it's like, hey, I can't see my player character, and it'll go fix that. But it's fun so far. It's been fun to just like make stuff and see what it makes. I was working on a Minecraft clone in it earlier, and I couldn't figure out how to set up like my server to serve static images. So what it was doing is like making helper sites that would like generate those images on the fly so it could link to those. And it's kind of crazy some of the stuff it'll do. Like for a while we have different tools that it can use to interact with the file system. We have add new file and also edit file. Edit file is commented out right now because it's broken. But while it was in and it was broken, it was trying to use it and then noticing like, hey, every time I use edit file, it makes compilation errors. And so it would tell itself like, hey, stop using edit file, always use add new file, etc. And so we're just using that for now, but Tony's working on edit file, and once that's in, I think we'll be able to do one, bigger files, which will help with like the scale of games it can make, and also two, it'll be a lot faster because each game runs for like 45 minutes probably to generate right now, which is fine for like making a game, but it's less exciting for showing it off on stream. But we've got lots of code being written, mission system right now, and it's all writing it in like TypeScript so it can run in your browser too, which is nice. Yeah, looks reasonable. We'll see how it fares. We are fixing this. All right, so instead of that, we just have a prompt, and nothing goes here. Negative prompt is going to get the same negative prompt. We'll do, you know what? We'll bring in customize style too. Dot style or dot SD model checkpoint. Sure feels like that API key shouldn't be hard coded in. Hold on. Let me just just deleted it so we can do this instead. Instance.api key. We'll use that, and then our client ID is fine. Cool. This song's also kind of a bop. Tony, if you're in the chat, one thing that we should add to this is I forget what the layman's term is for it, but in the Windows API it's called a balloon, like the pop-up that shows like, hey, you can talk again to the conversation, so you know when you can talk again. Title of your game reminds me of a meme I have seen recently. Give me a sec, I send you on Discord. Perfect. Alright, so we make the request. If we get an error, what should we do if we get an error for generating an image? To do something on image generation error. You know what, we'll just do like var bool equals true. We set a breakpoint there so we can go investigate. Oh, right. Can't have... Sure. But if we get image data back, that's when we need to finish decrypting image file for this file with the image data. File contents, I think it was. Oh, JSON response. Are we passing the flag for just generating the text? I don't think we are. Give me a sec, I send you a Discord. Okay, check your Discord. Okay. Also, before this stream, I was trying to set up audio redeems as like a point redeem on this channel, and my very first one was the Discord sound, knowing how much fun it is on yours. Where even is my Discord window? Here we go. Ah, yes. Thank you. You got first 2 hours in. Good job. The man in the middle after Bob and Alice decided to use digital certificates to check the authenticity of each other's public key. No, he's out of a job. The Alice in the game is indeed the classic Alice and Bob of cryptographic fame. We also have Bob as her boss. Let me just dun 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 ban. Nice. Good meme. You cry every time, right? I think it's spelled like this though. Let's see. What was I doing? I've completely forgotten. Let's just set our breakpoint here. We don't need to do that placeholder code. We are finishing decrypting the image file. Right. So we need to check to see what happens over here. Are we actually serializing into this guy? Yes, we are. Okay. So we have a flag in the API that like just returns base64, but I think we can just go ahead and add this class. Wait, do we already have it? Image generation response? No, we do not. Because that is just tacked onto the item creation service. Okay. Let's go add this to our actual library here. Image generation response. Easy peas. So now we can use that to serialize with in here. So we can say, basically just copy our code that uses this and do all this. Oh, hey Havens, welcome on in. We're just coding away. I'll show you what we're working on in a second, but it's a game called You Are Not Alice, hacking and social engineering simulator. Welcome on in. How's your day going? And also, no problem, Human. Steam page looks great. You know, let me give you a little... You know what? I always give you a shout out. Let me do a little different here. Let me find my Discord window, and I'll just tell everyone, go check out Echo Shred on Steam. Give it a wish list. I swear I've wish listed it. I'm just not logged in. It's a very, very cool horror game coming up by a regular human. He streams it several days a week, and Steam page just went live. So, whoop whoop. Let's go ahead and continue this guy. He only runs for 25 messages at a time before he's like, hey, I need prompting. Have you made games before? I started a game but didn't finish. Yes, I've made a few actually. I've been trying to make games for a very, very long time. Some of my first ones were like very, very simple, like this guy. If you're starting on your first game or like starting on the first game that you plan to finish, I would absolutely recommend doing something very, very simple. Doesn't have to look good, but there's a lot you learn when you like also do the publishing side of like putting it on itch or Steam or whatever. So would recommend that. But yeah, I've made a few games. You can find some of mine over on drusif.itch.io or chromagolem.itch.io. This You Are Not Alice game that we're working on now, I built about a year ago, and we're just coming back to it. So it's kind of a fun time to be here when we're like figuring out how stuff works and changing stuff. And like, I built it when I didn't really know much about making games, and now I know a lot more. So just trying to improve things as I go. But what have you started on? What game are you planning on making? And also, Steamworks is not available. Interesting. Let me... It looks like it works for me. Don't want to do all the confirmation stuff to log in, though. Site's up, though. But hopefully it works for you soon, Human. Let's see. All right, we've got our new model for serialization. We can now use that when we finish decrypting an image file. So here, we're going to go ahead and, we probably can just store the base 64 in the file contents. We don't need the full response. I was making a maze-like game where people can compete who can create harder mazes. That'd be fun. I used to make mazes a lot, like when I was younger, and like share them with friends. So that'd be fun. How do you plan on measuring how hard they are? Is it maybe like just how long it takes people to finish it, or like how many errors they make? Did I release the Alice game? So I did originally. You can play it in your browser right now. If you go to chromagolem.itch.io, it's released over on itch.io, which, if you're not familiar with, is a really good site for like publishing your first game too. And so we've had people playing it. It's fun. I haven't worked on it in a long time, but you can definitely play it over there. You just run game and it plays in your browser. We're working on it now to kind of add in some features and like get it a little bit more modernized, a little bit more updated, and then we're going to put it on Steam as well. So that'll be our second game on Steam. Probably not Steamworks, don't mind me. Steam powered. We worked on a larger game for like the last year called Elixir Emporium, which is a open world crafting RPG, which also has a demo on Steam right now that you can play, but is a much bigger project that was fun to work on. And in here you can, the gist is you run around, collect items, and you can combine any combination of items you want. All the NPCs have their own quests that are different every time you play, and so you go create like infinite items to go solve quests, which I think is super fun. But that's my first game that I ever put on Steam, which was really exciting for me. All right, so right, we don't even have like Newtonsoft in this project. That's a good wall to hit. Okay, so instead of doing all this serialization, what I'm going to do instead is go double check our API. We have a flag here for generation only. So instead of returning this like object that we would serialize into a C# object and pull out all the data from, we're just going to turn on generation only and just get the base64 data back, and that's what we'll store. So I just need to double check that that was called generation only, and we'll just add it to this, which should be generation only true, right? Generation only, true. Okay. Double check that that's a bool. Default's false. Okay, cool. So that should now just give us our base 64 data back. So we will call this, to be clear, image base 64 data. And then we set that in the file contents. So that should be good. And then once that's set, we call open file again. Which should go through the flow and like open it in this application that we're about to build for step 3 here, wherever it went. One of these notepad windows. Here we go. So we need to add this application, and then we have the base 64 data now, so we'll create the texture and sprite from it, and we'll show it. Easy. Time of people to finish. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense for mazes. You can probably also measure like people's skill in mazes, of like people who have a lower time in harder mazes are obviously better at mazes probably. Could be fun. There's probably a lot of different ways you could take that. You're generating the images within the gameplay or like on install. We're actually generating it at the gameplay time. So a lot of the games that I work on, they use like data generation under the hood while you play to generate new stuff. So like in that Elixir Emporium game, you can combine any two items even when they don't have like crafting recipes in the game. And combining those items actually generates not only the crafting recipe of like what they result in, but also generates new items for what they result in. So in this game, I guess, yeah, I didn't show off this game to you. Let me show it off real fast. We have computers being simulated, basically. So you've taken over, you play as a hacker, you've taken over the computer of an intern at this big company, and you have access to their file system, you have access to like all of their coworkers, you can talk to them, and a couple other things. And we've built it with text generation originally. So like if you browse through their file system and find a file, you can click on it and decrypt it, which is what generates the file contents. So if we go here, like every file system is going to be different every time you play. Each of these files will have different contents every time you play because there'll be different files also. But even if you get the same like file names, you'll have different contents. But we're generating all this like as you play based on what you do. And so like you might find passwords, you might find other things that'll affect other parts of the game. And so we're adding image generation right now. So we generate this file system and say to the LLM, like, hey, you can only have text files. We just added like, hey, you can also do image files. And now we're writing in the logic for what happens when you open an image file. So we need to like generate the image data and all that. Do I host my own LLMs or pay OpenAI for tokens? We do a combination of both. Let me... Oh, okay, that's done. We'll come back to that in a sec. We have our own API, which we shout out here, which we built originally for our own games, but I built it out so other people can use it as well. Nobody really uses it, but it's nice to plug, and people will probably use it sometime soon because we're also building some cool stuff on top of it. But it has support for OpenAI on the back end, but we can also choose our own local models as well. Let's see if I go over here. Basically, I just set up different games, and so You're Not Alice on Steam, I can choose different text models. That was really loud. Thank you for following. But yeah, you can choose your own models. A lot of these are OpenAI right now, but we can support other ones. And then also images, we do use Stable Diffusion models for those. But we have a lot of OpenAI credits right now, which is why we're using OpenAI so heavily. But yeah, thanks for the follow. Right, Human. One, what operating system is that? Windows XD would actually be the perfect branding for this. I'm gonna steal that, and we're gonna have Windows XD as a logo in here somewhere. Let me jot that down somewhere so I don't forget. You know what? We'll just do. Where's my Discord window? Let's do imagine Windows XD edition AR 16 by 9. So I remember to do something. Yes, I was going to start your prompt, but before I did, I wanted to see what the genie built for us saying, create a cool 2D hacking game. I don't know if it'll actually build or like do anything, but we'll see. Hacker X terminal infiltration. Okay. Start mission. Text is a little bit overlapping. Hello. We can type things. Help for available commands. Okay, it's definitely a little bit outside of the screen, but I'm sure some commands work. We'll see. I don't know what you do or anything. We've got a network thing over here, but I mean, this is probably a good base for us to say, like, add this specific feature. And so it just spent the last, I guess, 30 minutes spitting all this out to like build on top of. But what I want to do is start a new chat for your prompt. Where is it? Turn-based fantasy RPG. And let's just paste that in. Let's see what we get. Make a 2D turn-based fantasy RPG. You can make it story-driven with character development and an intriguing plot twist if that's okay. Perfect. So it starts by generating a blueprint, a plan for like building the whole game, so you can break it down into smaller and smaller tasks, and we'll see what it spits out there, and then we'll get back to the code. You can generate only text games with the genie. No, you can actually generate a lot. I guess let's just want to take a quick look at this plan that it made. 2D turn-based thing with some state management, combat, characters, world building, storytelling, asset management. All right, it's probably going to work for a while, but it's going to write all that code. You can actually, we're still working on the genie. That's like what me and Tony Sprocket are spending most of our time on these days. But I guess I have some examples of like, we don't have a ton of examples yet, but it can make like pretty simple games. I guess I've showed off this one a couple times. If I also did like Flappy, it also made Flappy Bird. Well, Flappy, or maybe did the server just go down? No. Okay. Don't know why that one's not loading, but yeah, it can also do 2D games. It can do 3D games. It struggles a little bit with 3D games, so I've been trying to get it working better with 2D games. But yeah, it's a work in progress. And if you're interested in that, if you're interested in trying that out, I would say either join our Discord or just sign up over at carmelgolem.com/genie. We're very close to getting it to the point where like other people can try it out and make their own games, and we want to build out more stuff on that end, but we want to get some people like making games on it and seeing what the feedback is there. So just a little shout out there. Let's go ahead and yeah, I showed off the game. I guess I got really distracted showing off the game to you, Havens. But yeah, you've got all those files obviously, but the core of the game is talking to other characters in the game and convincing them to run your virus file. So you can talk to, say, like Carol, and also obviously you can like look up things about different people and how they relate to each other. But hey, can you run this file real fast? I need it done before lunch. And then I tried to alt-tab to our files. We send her the virus, and then she runs it, and so then we'll see, yeah, new computer infected. So we infected Carol's computer, so now we can jump over to her computer and like talk to her coworkers and spread through the network this way is kind of the core game loop of just talking to these people and gaslighting them into running a virus file that you send them because you're pretending to be the person whose computer you're on. And Human had a good suggestion for the plot earlier, which we were trying to figure out, like, how do you win in this game other than just, like, infecting everyone? It'd probably be really cool in this, like, dystopian world that we're building around it to have, like, maybe this company manages everyone's debt and you're trying to get around the network to find the right person who has the files that, like, manage everyone's debt, and then you delete them all. So, could be a fun in-game type thing. But yeah, that's what we're working on. That's the game right now. A lot of it is all that, like, conversation and stuff is generated every time you play, so it's different each time, and we've got, like, the different stuff around that. You got that idea? I can't remember that. I thought you suggested that. Was that maybe somebody else? Oh no. Maybe I was probably Micah. Okay. Yep. It was probably Micah, so I'll credit him instead. But I like the idea, and I'm going to steal it. So thank you for suggesting it. But let's see. We hit some sort of rate limit here. We'll just type continue on our prompt for you, and then let's get back to the good stuff here. I'm very confused why it thinks that this is a iterator. It cannot be an iterator. Right. I don't know why it thinks it is one. Are we calling it some weird way somewhere? Oh, yep. Here, okay. Let's just comment all this out since that's just the code we were replacing. All right, so if we get the response back, it's just going to be base64 data. We pass that along to finish decrypting image file, which sets it on the file contents, and then calls open file again. At that point, it should have the file contents here, so we will go to this else statement, and that's where we're going to do our next step of building our display application. All right, so that should be all good. Is there anything else that we need? Probably also this guy. Let's just do that here. And then, oh, you know what? We don't need that because we don't really need to track that separately. Cool. All right. So the question now is, why does C# think this is a coroutine? Or an iterator? Interesting. Start coroutine. The file coroutine. Oh, you know what? We probably have a yield or something in here, which is potentially an issue. Yield, there we go. Have I ever worked with fmod? That sounds familiar. Fmod. Oh yes, I think you linked it to me. Either you or maybe Patrick. I haven't actually used it, but it's the asset for, like, all the sound stuff you could ever need, if I remember right. No, I have not. Are you using it now? It looks very complicated to figure out how to use, to be honest. All right, so I'm realizing we probably do need to take just all of this and stick it in a iterator that we can start coroutine on in the same way that we do this up here. So let's do that. IEnumerator generate image file data. Maybe need some stuff, we'll see. It's just gonna do this. Let's have it take an image prompt. So take all this out, shove it in here so we can actually do the yield. Let's say filled out prompt. So all those work. And then we probably just want to, oh right, we can't really return. We want like a callback, I bet. Let's see what this callback looks like. Is it just an action? Yeah, okay, we can do that. On generated callback. Easy peas. It's a tool. I'm about to start using it. I had a mentoring session today with a professional sound engineer, and basically I should start using Fmod plus Reaper as my sound solution for my games. So much to work through. Interesting. Yeah, I feel like sound especially, like, I don't even know how sound works in general, let alone all the tools to like control sound. Like sound theory, music theory, like when you think about, like, I know very basics to like color theory and like how to use colors to like set different moods and stuff. Like, I'm sure you can do all that with sound as well. Like, I don't even know the theory behind all that, let alone the tools to use it. I feel like maybe Patrick suggested Fmod to me at some point. I wonder if he has used it and like knows how to use it and might be able to help. I feel like he plays music too. So I mean, that's cool. Like, I don't know how you got a mentoring session with a professional sound engineer, but I dig that. Lots to learn. All right, let's see if we can actually get this working. So instead of this finish, we actually want on generated callback.invoke. I do wish that my copilot worked, but this is fine. We actually want base 64 data. And then we take this back. And here we'll do like start coroutine this method, generate image file data. And then I think the syntax was like, wait. Oh yeah, we just pass in these boys. So generate image file data and then our filled out prompt and our anonymous method to call when we get string base 64 data back. And then that can call this guy. Very spaghetti, timey-wimey stuff, but we need to strip all that code out to the enumerator so we can yield and like not lock up the parent thread and stuff. But now when we get a response back, we will pass it through, set that contents, and then call open file again. So I think this is finally right. It's part of your game dev grant. I thought it might be. That's super cool. The stipend you get. Did you decide to just like seek out a professional sound engineer for mentoring, or is that like part of the grant is like access to experts and like talk to this guy, talk to this guy, talk to this guy? Because the latter sounds a lot like an accelerator or something, which I almost applied to, but I mean, if they just give you a lump sum of money, it's probably a good idea to talk to the people even with that. So awesome. I hope it goes well. I'll have to watch more of your great streams, a regular human for those who aren't followed, and learn some of the sound stuff through you. All right, this is still running. Okay. So now I think we are finally to this step 3 where we need to create our like actual prefab that we'll show. So let's do that. We're gonna just copy the text window, image preview window, and we will modify that to show an image instead of text. That's probably the fastest way to get things working. We're supposed to take mentoring sessions at least 1.5 hours per month. Oh, that's not too many hours per month, but the topics are mostly whatever we need to talk about. No prescribed topics. Okay, I mean, that's super cool though. I like that. Sounds like a very good grant. All right, file contents text, get out of here. Scroll view, let's go ahead and make a, this will be on a canvas, so we can do UI image. Let's get that scale in all the way, and let's give it some sort of sprite so we can see it. Suspicious that we can't see it. Interesting. Sure feels like dimensions are weird or something, because we don't have... Huh. Okay, I think we can just, let's get rid of the horizontal scroll bar and the vertical scroll bar. We probably have this background. Yeah, let's get rid of the background. Just cutting stuff out so we can show this image a little bit nicer. It's at least 1.5 hours, like the bare minimum. We can also make it like 50 hours if we have the need for that. Okay, that's super nice though. I like that. I've got the edit file tool defined. I think it's a little more complex with two AIs. I mean, that's cool though, because now we have multi-agent working. So kudos on that. Now why do we have something blocking down here? Content. Is that masked correctly? What is... Interesting. This is fine. Everything's fine. Background outline. Sure. Seems fine. Header, blah, blah, blah. Let's do a title. Let's just say image viewer. Sure, sure, sure. Scope this down to fit, but actually let's... Yeah, I feel like the content in the viewport doesn't have a height, which is causing some issues. The confusing part is basically we have two different tools named edit file, but bind them differently to the different models. Interesting. Why do we... Is it because we have one LangGraph tool and one MCP tool and they do different things? And one probably calls the other? Feels like we might be able to rename one of those, but maybe not. Okay, why is everything anchored so poorly, is my question. But this seems fine. Let's now give this guy a little bit less. Give him some borders, I suppose. That'll do. That'll do. We now have an image viewer. Cool, cool, cool. I don't know that that will scale. No. Okay, so instead let's do this guy with padding. Or you know what, we can just leave it like this. This is fine. Should scale at least. Yeah. Alright, so I don't know how big we'll need to make this, but it should at least show the images. Cool. Alright, so we now have an image preview window, which we can go back to the code now and use that instead of our text file window manager. But we need new prefab on the game manager. So next to the text file preview window, we want a public game object prefab image file preview window. So we will use that prefab image file preview window. We put it in the draggable windows transform, add a random location, scaled to nothing, like no modifications to that. We show it, and then we'll grab our image file window manager. What did we call it? I don't even remember. Oh, we didn't even make the new script. Right. We still gotta do that. You left your phone somewhere, BRB. No worries. Good luck. So here, instead of our text file window manager, we're gonna need a image file window manager, which will probably be that though. So let's take this. Let's go remove this text file window manager, remove, and right. Image file window manager. So it now has our load file contents script that we want to use. So image file window manager. Dot load. Yeah, I'll just fix the compilation errors first, so we can get autocomplete. Let's check in on this guy. We can now continue. Cool. This guy. Error while saving prefab. Okay, surely it has compiled. So now, image file window manager, is that not a thing yet? Please compile. Okay. Interesting. Image You got it. Hi. Where was it, Human? And also, where's the weirdest place you've found your phone when you've lost it? I think one time I found my phone in my fridge, which was wild. But congratulations finding it. All right, I don't understand why this is not compiling. Image file window manager. Oh, you know what? It's probably, yep, way down here. I need to put it inside the assembly. All right, so where does this go? Where's our scripts? Where's our window manager scripts? File systems, UI, window managers. There we go. Put this guy in. Right, I forgot we can't drag and drop files in Unity. I think it's time to finally restart Unity. Is this still running? We things are still going over on our 2D fantasy turn-based thing. I don't know if it'll build anything, but we'll find out. All right. Why can't I drag and drop anything? I'm so confused. I'll just do it manually, I guess. So this guy, infiltration game, assets. What was it? Image file, window manager. Both of these over into window managers. Okay, easy. So now, okay, cool. So now we can do .load file contents file.file contents, because that'll have our base64 data, which takes a file. All right, we'll just do this instead. Public void load image. Where are my windows? All right, load image. File.file content, sure. File display name, let's say image viewer, sure. So now load image. Here's where we need to do our fancy stuff. And I think I closed my other Visual Studio window, maybe? No, here we go. This is what we need. So we have a bunch of base64 data. We need to convert it from that into bytes, an array of bytes. With those bytes, we create a texture. With that texture, we create a texture, and then with that texture, we load in those bytes into the texture, so it's like we had gotten it off the file system. Then we create a sprite using that texture, and then we set our image to that sprite. Image.sprite is sprite in the window. So this should, when we go over to our window prefab, if we set this reference here, image preview window, image is this image. When we call load image with some base64 data, it should serialize that into an image that we can show in the canvas and then set it equal to this sprite's image. So let's do something a little bit more placeholder-y here. You know what? That's kind of cool. And then let's just darken it a little bit. And then we'll also just reset that. Color is color.white. Cool. So I think that might be everything. Let's close this. Let's check out the genie, still running. We have our plan here. We create that and we show it. We created our application. So I think we just need to set on the game manager our new application, image preview window. We've got weird errors now. I think it's related to my scroll rect manipulation back there, but let's see what happens when we play, because I think that's everything unless we miss something small. I was just in the living room. Classic. Sorry, I had to finish a mail. The weirdest place, you ask? I think on my face. Interesting. I mean, I will say pretty often that, like, I'll have my phone and be like, oh shit, where's my phone? Or like when I DoorDash something, I'll hand my phone to my wife, and then as soon as she takes it, I'm like, okay, I'll do something on my phone. Where'd my phone go? Brain just turns off, I guess. All right. So with all our changes that we've done, we should see the file system now has images that are labeled something.png. We should also be able to open those images and get an image, and it should open in our new image previewer application. So lots of things could go wrong in all of those things, but let's see what we get, since we just coded for like an hour without testing a single thing. All right, file browser. All right, we don't have anything in the top level. That's a little suspicious. But do we have... Oh, we've got an image. All right, so password sticky.text. Does this still... Okay, we broke text generation apparently. That's suspicious. I don't know how we would have broken that, because it's an entirely different flow. Devin Bites, welcome on in. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. How's your day going? We just coded for about an hour, and now we're testing stuff and seeing what works and what doesn't. So we're about to get back into some code, I'm sure, because things are definitely going to be broken. When I was still in university, I always had math classes very early in the morning on Sundays. So usually after the classes, I would go home and sleep a bit. Once I was lying on my bed, placed my phone on my forehead and fell asleep. Oof. Yeah, that's rough. I mean, I feel like as soon as I stop looking at a screen, my brain just turns off and they're like, where's the phone? I don't know. On Mondays. Okay, that makes way more sense. Okay. Good. I'm glad you didn't have classes on Sundays. Dope man, looking for a stream to throw on the second monitor. Well, thanks for being here. What are you doing on your other monitor? Are you a developer? A game developer perchance? Or just working away? All right, so we did break our text generation. I want to click... Okay, we also broke our image generation. So I'm guessing it's probably on the on-click callback that we set up when we generate these. So let's go over to our file browser window manager. So here, when we're drawing the contents, we're setting up these guys. And on each file, we set up an add listener or a listener on the button, which calls open file, which I'm guessing we never hit on anything anymore, which would explain why neither of them work. The bytes suggest something techie. You gotta do what you gotta do. You're doing iOS development. Still in uni, never had the itch for game development personally. You know, I've always wanted to learn mobile development though. Seems very cool and also very lucrative. Are you doing anything fun? I also didn't have any iOS development courses when I was in college, so that's very cool. Hope it's going well. We're going to go ahead and let's just set up our breakpoints here to prepare for when we're in next. And I also want to set up a breakpoint in open file to see if that is being called, but maybe we're returning out early. But my suspicion is that these on-clicks are either not being set up originally, or maybe we did muck with the file browser a little bit. We could have something that's like a raycast target in front of the files now. I don't think that's the case though. But I guess we can just find out. Alrighty, so we should hit the first breakpoint when the file system is being set up. We did attach, right? We did, okay. So if we click through, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I guess I should probably add in like a cached file system at some point instead of always generating a new one, just to make this loop of testing a little bit nicer, so I don't need to wait for the generation every time. It's suspicious we didn't hit any breakpoints by now. I guess draw contents triggers when we open the file browser. So here, we've got all our files being set up. This file is blank.txt. Interesting. Oh wait, that's file contents. Okay. Bob instructions.txt. Okay, let's pin that so we can check what goes on. But here, I guess, yeah, it wouldn't make sense that the trace would go inside this callback. Okay, so it probably is getting set up. I want to continue through until we get an image file as well. Carol feedback. Don't know how to get this to update from the pen, but that's fine. Meeting notes, sure. Performance review prep. Shopping list. Give me an image, please. Reminder to buy coffee. Virus.exe, right. Okay, so we didn't have any images here, but I bet we'll have some in personal. Let's just check that real fast. Vacation ideas. Favorite recipes. I mean, maybe we won't. We'll just check real fast. Weekend plans. I'll just pin this. We should be able to see that easier. Oh wait, funnycat.png was that. Okay. So we do have an image here. Let's set our breakpoint here as well. So if this listener is being hit, I think, yeah, that should open that. I mean, we know that we're hitting this. Let's just continue real fast and see what happens. Okay, nothing happens. So we just want to see where it's failing out. So we go into open file. And we'll trace through this in a sec. Taking all of my class projects and building them into my iOS app. Nice. The idea is it's just a bunch of mini apps all in one. From basic stuff to calculator app to more advanced projects like my image recognition capstone from last term. Ooh. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. And it's probably a cool like portfolio too. If you like put everything you built in one spot. What was the image recognition for? Like identifying, what do you do there? I always love hearing about people's capstone projects. I was just talking about mine earlier, actually. I did an augmented reality app where you could point your phone at something and it used your GPS and like gyroscope orientation to figure out which house you were pointing at, so it could overlay like a Zillow link if you walked down the street and was like, I want to see that house's Zillow link. It was a very fun capstone senior project. Okay, switch file type. Our file type is PNG with a space after it. That's why. Interest. Oh, you know what? We probably have spaces in the example in the prompt. So what we should do is let's just trim this. Can we trim that? Yeah. That returns the string. Okay. So that's nice safety thing, but we also want to go over to the actual prompt itself. Let's kill off any trailing white space on that. Image or file system creation. Yeah, we got double spaces after all of these for whatever reason. Yep, definitely don't want that. We probably also, we'll just trim the file name also. So where that gets built, I wonder where we create this file system. Generate image file data, blah, blah, blah. So that's when we already have file system, initialize employee data, generate file system contents for blah, blah, blah. Parse generated file system. So here we grab basically this that we've generated and we turn it into our graph. So where we are parsing the file names, we should also trim there just to be safe. Oh, yep, we only trim off the return, carriage return. Any trailing spaces? Line is line.trim end. Sure, that should at least trim off any spaces that generate at the end, but we shouldn't get any more files that generate with spaces on the end because we removed it from our example. That was from us reformatting it earlier. So let's try this again. Yeah, we still have some formatting issues with like the other prompts as well, so I won't be surprised if we see some bugs like that, but had to recover those files earlier and I don't want to go through the manual labor of reformatting them all on stream. So we'll do that off stream and just get through in the meantime. All right, let's try this again. So now text files work again. Okay. So they generate their contents the first time you open them. And then from then they already have contents generated, so they just open instantly. CSVs also seem to work. Cool. If we find an image, all right, memes. What are we gonna generate here? Will it work? We do have an error. All right. So prompt generate image content on the game manager. I wonder if we didn't set that. Let's see. Game manager, prompt generate image content. Yeah, not set. All right. We missed a reference. That's fine though. Here we want that guy. All right, we try once more. And while that loads, I guess we can check in over here. That's still running. All right, it's just cranking out code. Oh, we're in some loop. I bet the files got too long. All right, that's fine. You know what? Let's cancel that. And I just added a tool for this exact reason. So we'll say the file's too long for add new file. You need to call add new with the first 250 lines only, and then repeatedly call append to file to write the next chunks until you've written the whole file. Let's see if it can follow some instructions there. Oh, right. Yeah, I killed it in the middle of a compile. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We'll just say, please continue this game. All right, so here, applications, file browser. Text still works, obviously. Yep. Personal. Alice selfie. What does this person look like? Does it work? No errors. I mean, we are using our image model for items in Elixir Emporium, so it looks like an image, but you know what? That is an image being generated on the fly. It should open immediately. Yep, now that it has content. So we need to switch what model it's using, but seems like it works. Are there any other images? No, okay. Mistakes. Missed deadline, oof. Alright, but we now have images, so that's fun. Let's, I want to play again, just see if we can get other images, but first, let's just go get our different image model. So, character portrait, I guess. And then we need to not hard code in the model name that we did. SD model, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Style, we should do blank. So let's get rid of that, and then it will default to whatever we've picked in the actual API as a default. So let's play again. Let's see if we get maybe a better image than what would be an item in an RPG, but we shall see. This guy's cranking away at something. Don't know what it thinks it's doing. I'll help you continue with the game development. Sure. Let me examine the current state. It's going to read through a bunch of the files that it built earlier. World map. Yeah, I bet the file I was trying to write just got too long, which is our main issue with this right now. But its plan seems to be somewhat similar to the old original plan. So I guess it's gonna keep working on that. All right. Let's see some images generated, hopefully. Cubicle pick. Alright, that's not much better, but luckily that's not my fault. That's just the API not having a good model for characters yet, since all we built it for is items in an RPG. But all of the code we wrote is what we want here, and that works. So we can now... This is a creepy song. Every NPC will now include images in their file systems that we create to simulate for them. Interesting. So once we get a new model to swap in and use that instead, they should at least have like, we'll use something that looks more like photos of characters and stuff. Or I guess we could build into the API to let it choose which model to use based on like the prompt given. But it works, so that's fun. Any other images here? Pics with coworkers. Sure. And then we will... There we go. Let's just share that over here. Shout out to the Discord. Where's our screenshots channel? Here we go. All right. Images work in You Are Not Alice. That's exciting. That's like, we've been meaning to add that since we first built this. We just didn't have the architecture, like the framework up for generating images from our API yet. So it's nice to come back to. Let's also talk to Carol and say, hey, I got that presentation done for you. I'll send it over in a second. You just need to run it once and then we can present to Bob together. send her this virus file. And then we'll control her computer, check out her images as well. Alrighty, man, I gotta hit the sack now. It's late here. Have an awesome rest of the stream. Good night. Thank you, Human. Thanks for being here. I probably will also just wrap up soon anyway, since we just finished the thing that we were gonna work on. But I'll just poke around and see if there's anything else I can work on real fast. But now we're over on Carol's computer. Also, good to have you. Good night, Human. Let's see what she's got. She's got an office selfie, lunch with David, really personal, feelings about Bob. Yeah, so we definitely need just a different image model for characters and stuff. Bob, I have such mixed feelings about you. On the one hand, you're my boss, and you have the power to make or break my career here at KubiCorp. But on the other hand, I really struggle with how demanding and unappreciative you can be sometimes. Wow. So I'm going to go ahead and just open up the chat with Bob and send him this file, which, read it. It should send the actual contents of the file, but I think we did change it to we were working on actions for creating an action of sending a file instead of just sending the contents in the chat wrapped around a file. So apparently we've still got some bugs around there. But it is always fun to find these sorts of files and like send them to the people they're about so you can get them to respond to it. But we did actually manage to infect Bob somehow. We didn't even send him the virus. So again, we should probably be double checking that the executed file from the LLM actions is in response to a virus.exe file. But let's just poke around, see if there's any other images that we can see on Carol's computer, and then I guess we'll go over to David's. Alright. Or Bob's, I guess. Good background, good background. File browser. Who do you have to talk to? We got Ethan Wilden and Georgina McHale. Perfect. Let's see. Feelings about Bob. Okay, so he has the file that we sent him earlier. I guess that makes sense. I bet it's the same. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Any images here? I just want to see the examples. Notes on Georgina, notes on Ethan. Alrighty. Surratt. Hello. Welcome in. We actually just finished up what we were building. So now I'm just testing it out. It's good to see you. It's been a while. How's it going? We can go ahead and open up notes on Carol and Ethan. We will send those to each of their respective people. So notes on Carol, frequently late on Monday mornings. Not doing so great. Let's just go ahead and help out this character by sending... Wait. Carol. That's not either of these people. Let's send it to Carol. Notes on Carol. Bob, this is so detailed. I think we need to have a meeting to discuss all these points. Fantastic, and you? Yeah, I'm doing great. I just visited some family last week, which is why I wasn't streaming. And now we're returning back to this game that I built like over a year ago to get it prepared for Steam. We've got a whole bunch of like comments from Twitch, or not Twitch, they're comments on Itch of people playing and like things that they wanted to be able to do. So where I just add in a few of them and then I'll put it on Steam. So it's kind of nice. It is based on LLMs. We've got LLMs that power the characters, obviously, so you can talk to them and like gaslight them and whatnot. And it's pretty fun because the conversations go two ways. It's weird because you can actually masquerade as any of the employees. So like this conversation history was actually from us being Carol messaging Bob, and then we infected Bob's computer. We're on Bob's computer right now, so we can go see like the conversation history between him and Carol from his perspective, and we could send him messages back to Carol, and we could like go over to Carol's side and say things if we wanted, but they'll also just talk back and forth. But we also use LLMs to power like the file systems, the content of files, whether or not the characters execute the files you give them. So like Ethan here is someone we haven't infected yet. So if we send him these notes that we have on Ethan Wilden, like he'll respond to these, or we could go up and we have this. Oh, we don't have the virus file on this computer because we didn't infect it by running that virus file. So we actually want to go back to Carol's computer, open the file browser, and send that virus file to Bob. So now we can go over to Bob's computer, open it up, and now we have the virus file, so we can go talk to his boss, Ethan, and say, hey, just got that report done, sending it over for you to run momentarily. We send him the virus file, now that we've primed him and said like, hey, it's just a report, just run it, it's all cool. He's executing it now, we get a notification that he's run our virus, and now we can run over to his computer and talk to all of his coworkers. His boss is the director of finance, so we're just making our way up. And then we also have the file browser for all of his stuff that now he has the virus, so we can send it to people from him, etc. We can read all his files. We, on this stream, just added images to the file systems, so most of this is going to be like text files and logs and spreadsheets and stuff because it's a work computer. But occasionally we'll find like an image file, which it's going to be a terrible image because we need to choose a new model for doing the images. But it now can generate images on their file systems too. So there's fun stuff we can do with that. Like we can do the same sort of thing of we could send images around that are on their file system. I guess we don't have the logic for like reasoning about what's in the image yet, but if you send like files right now, it'll actually have them respond to the content of that file. So that's fun too. But yeah, we also were considering like, this is a delightful review. When it comes to balancing the books, Ethan is a master who makes debits and credits feel as light as a feather. So we sent that to our boss. It's a review about us. Nice. Yeah, that's the gist of it. Let's go check out Fred's computer because I think there's a bug that is letting us just infect things through sending any file. What does he got? Top secret military docs? Strategy? Interesting. But yeah, that's what we've built. I'm gonna put it up on Steam in a couple weeks. I want to do some more work on it in the meantime. But we're also trying to figure out like the plot, the reason you're playing, other than just like talking to these NPCs. How do you win? And I think what we've decided with that is like we're gonna paint this as like a big dystopian organization they need to spread through, and the company itself manages like the world's debts. So you need to like go around to different people's computers, maybe different servers, and you need to like delete all those debts to like free the world. So we'll play around with that. But I mean, today we just wanted to add images, and I'll just say if you want to play this right now, you can. Let me continue this real fast. We actually have it up on itch already at chromagolem.itch.io. But I will also link it on the Discord and stuff when we've got it on Steam. But you can play it in your browser right now. So you're playing the old version here. We'll put the new version up on Steam. Maybe I'll also put the new version here, but we'll see. Yeah, we are just slowly adding features to it. It reminds me of a hacking simulator I played when I was a teen, but obviously didn't have the LLM/chat part. Yeah, I played a lot of like both hacking and social engineering simulators as like a teen. But back then, like LLMs didn't really exist, so the only way you could talk to people was like you're choosing pre-made options. So the goal with this was to just like lean into what happens when you can say anything, but you have like a goal, and like the NPCs will reason about like, are they going to run a file or not? There's some of them that we have tagged as like they've taken computer security classes, so they're more or less likely to like run a virus file. We're going to add in a few different ways you can hack people. Sometimes you'll find files that have passwords in them on people's computers. So you'd be able to like log into stuff manually without having to hack it, and then maybe like add in backdoors there. Like lots of fun stuff that you can do. We'll add a terminal. We'll add some other stuff is here as well. But I think it should be fun. But I'm sorry to say that I'm probably going to wrap up the stream right as you got here. But it is good to see you. I hope your day is going well. And I think we just finished what we wanted to do. So it's a great time to end. Let me check all this in and say image generation for image files on computers. Employee cannot type. My mic is on top of my keyboard, so it's in the way. Employee keyboards. Yeah, no problem. I'll come another day. Yes, come on back anytime. I stream the same time. Devin, if you're still out there watching, sorry you also got here right as I was ending. But yeah, it's been good seeing everybody. I didn't stream last week, but I'll be back again next week. So same time, 3 hours prior to now. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. I'm gonna get back to work, and maybe I'll have a snack first. Take care, guys. See ya.